It's recording. Okay, what is up, people of the YouTuberverses, right? What are we doing today? Okay, so there has been a change of plans once again. We are not going to be doing the head drain mod, and here's why, right? So we took the engine apart because there was an issue, right? I don't want to do the head drain mod and then put it back in the car and then have an issue with the head drain mod causing an issue, and then we don't know where the issue lied, whether it was in the main crank bearings, the main bearing, the piston rings that have been replaced, the new cam that's in, the new valve sensor. There's like so many variables that have been changed now that we need to make sure that everything is running properly before we go and do extra modifications, right? So for that reason, and definitely not because I'm scared to drill into my head, we are going to be reassembling everything and putting it back together, see if it gets, if it's running and if it's running correctly. When we pull the motor out again to do the frame straightening, then that is probably when we'll do the head modification. If the need arises, right? So right now, this car isn't going to be drifted immediately. It's probably going to be still quite a while because we still have to drop the diff and weld the diff and everything like that. Otherwise, we're just going to crash the car. So there's a lot of things that we need to do before we get to that point. And right now, it's not a necessity. We're not going to be sitting on red line, and that's the only reason you'd need it. Online, they also said that it's actually a breather issue and not necessarily an issue with the draining itself. It's that it develops too much crankcase pressure, and therefore the journals get blocked basically from sending oil back down. So we'll first investigate other ways, and then we'll see if that's necessary or not. So right now, we're going to finish off putting in the new seals on the cams. We're going to tighten all of these down because we didn't completely tighten them or torque them down spec. We're going to get that back on there, and then we're going to put on all the auxiliaries and everything like that. So with that being said, yeah, let's get started. So once again, in the typical fashion, things are not going as planned, right? We cannot tighten down any of these because the torque specs of these are 9 Newton meters and 12 Newton meters. Our torque wrench starts at 26, so that's not going to work. So we're going to wait for Tyron to get back, and he's only going to be back tomorrow, so we'll be able to pick up a torque wrench from him tomorrow morning or whenever, sometime tomorrow. And a lot of the stuff that we need to do kind of involves the head being done with things and things like that, right? But let's try and see what else we can do. Maybe we're going to clean up the intake, possibly get the head mount because we can get that back on, get the sump back on, start doing auxiliaries around that, basically just ignoring the section where the cam covers go on. So maybe we clean the engine bay, I don't know. We'll see what we have to do. We still have to figure out a way to mount the pod filter on the stock intake. Well, we have the intake thing, but we still have the map because we don't have an aftermarket management system, so we have to figure out how to get the map sensor to work with the aftermarket intake. Might be using some cool stuff there, but we'll figure it out. Let's try and see what we're gonna do, and yeah, let's start doing that. Okay, so yesterday we finished off by getting the auxiliaries and everything put on. The head is on, but not mounted. Well, it's mounted, but it's not on. So we need to go and torque all of these, then we'll torque to one spec, torque it to the second spec, loosen everything, and then torque again. We didn't finish up with the head yesterday because we were waiting for the tiny torque wrench, right? So we got the tiny torque wrench from Thailand. Thank you once again, Thailand. And we got the alternator, all of these things on, right? So we're actually going to be removing this and this, right? So what those are, that's the it's just a pulley which is kind of dented. That's one reason I'm removing it, and the second thing that we're removing is the AC compressor. That is the word I've always been looking for, the compressor. So we're going to take the compressor off, we're going to take this bracket off, and the pulley, and then we're just going to be running the power steering and the alternator off the little thing that goes here, right? So right now I think let's get the head torqued down, untorqued, and then torqued again so that this is seated in its final position. Once that's done, I've already put cylinder 1 at TDC. I'm going to put the cams then into the correct orientation. We're going to close up the cams, we're going to put the cover back on this side, we're going to put on the cam gears and everything there so that we can get ready to put that cam belt on. Whoop, whoop. So you see, we're making progress, guys, we're making progress here. So yeah, let's first start by removing these things, then doing this thing, then finishing those things, and then putting those things on there, and then those things will be done. Okay, yeah, let's go. So these things, the cams are back on as well as the head. The head's been torqued down twice, everything. These are in sync. Let me try and see if I can show you here. So this bar here has to line up with, there's a little mark over there on this side, right? And then this bar over here has to line up with that mark on. Okay, so over here, this white line has to match up with this little divot in here, which it doesn't right now, but that's okay. We're only off by a few degrees at this point. It's not a big deal because the pistons and the valves and everything, they're out of the way. So we're going to get that into the right position. We're going to throw the new cam belt on here, link it all up, or you put on this back cover and everything. We're just going to carry on and see where we get from here. Okay. Okay, so with all of that being done, we're gonna call it a night there, and yeah, I'll catch up with you guys in the morning.
Tomorrow for sure.
Okay, so it is officially the next day. Got a quite a late start today, and it is ridiculously hot. But we're just gonna try and see what we can get finalized. We're gonna try and get these belts on, those belts on, get this finalized, get the top finalized. We might start grinding away the studs for the turbo, right? We had to go and get new studs for the turbo because 2 of them were broken. So those are on the manifold, but those just need to be ground down because they're slightly too long. Then we need to finalize the hosing and yeah, maybe intake and exhaust. We'll see how far we get. I still need to finish up this and then start editing for the video to be done today so I can upload tomorrow. So, you know, that's fun. So without further ado, let us begin. Okay, so we just finalized putting on a couple of these hoses and things all over the place. The intake isn't solidly mounted yet, but we got some of the hoses on here at the bottom, which I managed to just finally squeeze on there. Hopefully that's fine. This is on the valve covers. The valve covers on, the coil pack covers on, the front belt covers on, the fan belts on, the alternator is connected, the power steering pump, everything's connected, right? So we roughly have a motor, right? All I have to do now is put on the turbo on this side, and then that's about it. We just got to throw the turbo on. I'll throw in the oil filter. We'll tighten up all the bolts, give it one more once over. I haven't installed the spark plugs and the coil packs yet. I don't know if that's obvious why, but I didn't do it because I need to still rotate the motor, and rotating the motor with the spark plugs in means that you have to compress air that's in there. So having the spark plug out when you rotate the motor just pushes the air out. It's a little bit easier. So I'll put those in once all of the rotations and everything are completed. And yeah, that's about it for right now. I'm probably gonna finish up the rest of the assembly off camera. If there's anything cinematic, I'll add that in. But I'll probably just finalize the assembly and then open up the next video with some nice B-roll of the completed motor. And yeah, in the next episode we'll be putting this back in the car. Hopefully it runs. Hopefully it runs. So thank you all once again for watching. I hope you guys are enjoying this build. If you are, let me know in the bottom, in the comments in the bottom. If you are also, just, you know, hit the thumbs up, share it, you know, maybe. maybe if you want to, you know, just share, you know, Facebook, anywhere you guys really want. But yeah, I hope you guys are actually enjoying this. I'm really eager to see if she starts. Yeah. And as always, thank you all, and individually, like every single person watching this, thank you specifically. And as always, I love you, Monsieur. Bye.